Steve.
No, I mean, it's funny that you asked that because, like, am I worried about it? I mean, yeah, it's a big problem, right? It's a really worldwide problem, but I'm personally not actually that worried about it because I actually know how I'm going to die, and it's not from COVID. I know 100% how I'm going to die, and I am going to die choking on my food because most people don't realize that once every meal, every day, I inhale my food on accident and I have to pause and I wonder for a split second, is this when I'm going to die? And I have to like pack it up and it's like most of the people I know now hate actually eating with me because I'm not a loud eater, but what I am is a near death eater. Every single time I eat food, I like eat and drink at the same time. So I'm doing all the things that your esophagus is supposed to do, but I'm doing them simultaneously. And what happens is I actually suck something in, it gets stuck, and then I have to get it out. In fact, one time I actually thought I was going to die. I think I did die. And I actually remember wholly how it happened in the living room of my shitty little apartment. There I was eating dinner when it caught. Right there, I mean, boom, it caught bad like a stuck gear shift on a shitty 90s Ducati. And it was in there. And I was like, oh, I've been here before. And I tried to get it out, right? And it would not come out. It was just deep in there, like deep on the left-hand side esophagus. And I'm just literally choking to death. And then it becomes not funny. And I'm literally like, oh, fuck, this is what's going down. And I'm an idiot at the time. I live totally alone. I have no roommates, no nothing. And I'm literally fall on the ground, heaving and choking to death. I'm dying right here in the middle of fucking Sonoma County. This is how your boy is going to go out. And I fall on my back. And this is straight true. I am not exaggerating. And my vision is like literally going red and then blank. And I'm like, I'm literally like Jesus, right? I fall out. I have my arms wide. I swear to God, I probably have stigmata at the time. I'm fully spread out, just saying like, why have you forsaken me? And what happens? But my right hand hits something. It's not the carpet, but it has carpet. It's not the floor, but it has carpet. And what is it?
What
it's
could it be?
Cat scratching post. It's a cat scratching post. One of those ones you get at Petco for like $8. If you know what I'm talking about, Everett, it's the square with the post that sticks straight up. And I know instantly it's not my time. Now is not the time. I must rise again like the true savior of GP that I am. And I grab this thing and I turn it around. And like the samurai of old, I am prepared to thrust this thing into my gut in an act of reverse harakiri. Boom! And I jam it into my stomach as hard as possible. I don't know if you've seen these gun shows lately, but as hard as possible has some fucking stank on it, son. This drive had some mustard on it. And so I fucking slam it in. And what comes flying out of my mouth but the hugest, gnarliest hunk of Little Caesar's pizza. Just like Homer when Mr. Burns spits out the three-eyed fish and it lands on the floor next to me and I look over there and what do I see but what was once my most favorite of all food but now has become thy nemesis that tried to end me, but a piece of pineapple pizza. So in case you're wondering what happened and what actually happened after my near-death experience, after suffering tremendous emotional, physical, and soul-crushing damages, even though it wasn't motorcycle related, what did I do? Well, I got on my computer, I logged out of MySpace, because this is 2004, and I get back to the computer, and I type in writer's law with a Z.com, because they're my California accident injury motorcycle lawyer.
Yeah, if you're in the state of California and get into a motorcycle accident, please give Riders Law a call. As Kev just said, they're your California motorcycle accident injury lawyers. They do great work in the courtroom. Cy and lawyer Rob will go to bat for you to make sure that you get covered by your insurance, so you get any damages as necessary. They will try and get you whole again. And we've said this before, but they will not charge you if they're not able to recover any money for you. So please give them a call. They've even helped out friends for
what we call it, pro Brno.
There you go. they've even helped out some of my racer bros with like they were on a bicycle and got hit by a bicycle or got hit by a car on a bicycle. So please,
2 wheels.
please definitely give them a car. Yeah, two wheels. They're also expanding into other states. I need to get their list from them. I believe they're in Pennsylvania. I'm like 85% sure on that one. But yeah,
That's random.
yeah. No. Sai is from Pittsburgh. Sai's got family over there.
Oh, okay. Less
Yeah.
random now. All right.
And his other brother lives over there, or at least past the bar in Pennsylvania. So, yeah, not super random. But all right, so many people in the chat were commenting that they're going to choke on something and their pets are going to eat them because they also are in the same situation that you just described.
They're
Kev.
cats. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think
if you ever needed a more clear example of why intelligent design is not a thing and how there is no creator and the world is a pointless nightmare, it's that you breathe, eat, and drink out of the same tube.
But you got another tube. Never mind. I'm not doing that. Never mind. Steve, who asked where the banner was? The banner. Steve Kurtz Jr. asked where the banner was. No, I'm trying new things with the
Did
stream.
you sell it on the internet?
You guys can't see it, but I got this cool graphic up now that I hope everyone can see. It says like Writer's Law like over there, and our name's like on that side. And whatever, people will figure it out. All right. It's episode 136. The Czech Republic round of MotoGP happened in this crazy year that is 2020, and it's August 10th at the moment, Monday after. And I don't know what this is, but
Damn, Ev, why don't you breathe a little louder? This dude got the corona checking right
I
now.
moved it far away too. He told me. I've been away for a while, man. Been away.
his nose breathes
Right.
outward like that.
It's good
apparently.
for you. It's good for you.
No,
One dude, Laird Hamilton, does like 100 nose breathes a day consecutively, every day.
I
Kev.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Come on, Kev.
Oh yeah, no, nose breathing is so much more efficient for you than actually mouth breathing, but it's like a muscle you have to actually work out to make it happen. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's so much more efficient. You can breathe less per minute, but actually oxygenate your blood more if you focus solely on nose breathing. But it's like an actual muscle and a skill that you have to develop to actually make it happen. Probably would be good for me so I don't die, but what's crazy about this is I'm all good. I absolutely know how I'm going to die, and I'm perfectly comfortable with it. So I'm not really I don't fear it. I've made my peace with it. It's all good.
It's gonna happen with pineapple
It's gonna
pizza
happen.
the next time you eat it.
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's avoiding pineapple pizza. So all
Right.
this shit that you give on social media about pineapple pizza, even when I make it from scratch, is because of a near-death experience.
Well, it fucking tried to kill me, dog. That you are allowed to have an irrational dislike for something for its attempted murder on you. Like if Ev tried to kill me, even though we're boys, I'd have to be like, dog, what's up with that? He's got to have a pretty legit reason why the attempted murder went down. That's got to have to be a real thing. And that $5 hot and ready from Little Caesars was not going to give me a good answer.
You're making me hungry. Those are so good. They're terrible pizzas, but they're so good.
I think
How pizza only be $5?
I don't know.
It's very high on the CPD list. The CPD is calorie per dollar.
Yes,
Very
correct.
Very high. Actually, Costco pizza is better though, because you get a much larger pizza for double the money. Even though at Costco, if you really want to maximize CPD and we're ignoring beverages, you order 10 churros. That is more calories than a $10 pizza.
Those hamburgers, though, that sauce that they put on the ones at Costco, dang.
Yeah, that's quality. That's quality.
Right.
CBD and completely disregards flavor.
That's true.
Rob's been doing research.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta like plan how I eat, man. Like,
Rob the cyclist, guys, he literally will bicycle 100 miles randomly on one day. Like, oh man, what's up? What are you doing tomorrow? He'd be like riding a century. It's like Wednesday.
it was
He's
only,
like,
it was only 73 miles yesterday.
yeah, and so but how he
Very
does
tired.
that is that he eats his body weight in churros. And if you want to know how many churros Rob's body weight is, it's 8. 8 churros is how much Rob weighs.
Two for each limb, apparently. All right, no,
exactly.
wait. We're way off topic, and I feel like we're 10 minutes into this. We got to start talking about motorcycle racing. People are already asking if we're going to hit up the Kyle Wyman, Josh Herring beef, and I haven't had time to go over everything and kind of provide an unbiased. It's not going to be unbiased. What am I talking about? Just get enough of the details to talk about that well, that we're going to have to save that for another episode. I mean, unless Kev is going to go off of that in the end. What we are going to get into right now is the MotoGP race. And we're going to start off with KTM and Brad Binder and the awesome sauce that was all that. Ev, you have a question. What do you got?
Can we do a drinking game, and do we have enough alcohol to get through it?
To get through what?
Can we have a drinking game?
About
I got like 8 bottles of South African white, so I'm
like
good.
every time we say KTM,
you
you drink or like something. I don't know. You tell me.
this
it
beer
was
is going to
last
run
episode
out.
you drank every time we said Marc Marquez, you wouldn't have a single drink, just like
that's a
this
boring game.
episode, or just like last race.
He is now.
What's interesting about the KTM is the moment they changed their Charles frame from a bunch of glued-on dildos to a bunch of sauce-connected churros, they lightened the load and increased its flex. And instead of being a bunch of fucking dildo vibrators, it's Costco churros wrapped around. And they got that sauce from the hamburgers, glued those churros together, stuck an engine in it. Boom, they win. It's no secret that moment they get Danny Pedrosa, they get the Spanish flavor. They add some churros to that sauce, and they win it.
They painted the churros orange though.
Do they have churros in Spain?
Oh yeah, I mean you got it.
I don't think so. There's something else.
What?
They're missing out.
Churros
Do they
are-
have churros in Spain?
Yeah. I don't know. Is there any Spanish people out there?
All right. I really
Anyway,
hope
so
that you watch.
So let's real talk now.
Yeah, real talk now. Kev is glitching a little bit here. Real talk now. Brad Binder put in an amazing performance to win KTM's first race and KTM's first dry podium, actually, as a rookie in MotoGP.
Hold on.
Kind of
You're going
the
too
last
fast.
time. It's sort of like 3 or 4 times. The last time that we actually discussed like rookies winning MotoGP races was in the Alien era with Jorge Lorenzo and Danny Pedrosa. So this is absolutely absurd that this was even possible now. But it is 2020. Anything is possible. There can be a global pandemic. We can take all the European rounds and throw them in a hat and just pick one, and we get amazing races. So Kev,
it's like Rob said. I mean, it's interesting because what did he do? He won his race faster than Pedrosa won his first race. And if you famously remember in 2006, they said, what do you expect from Pedrosa in his first race? And they said, we expect him to be on the podium. Like that was the level of expectation from people like Marquez and Pedrosa. And for Binder to actually beat, quote unquote, Pedrosa, it's not a competition, but to get there faster than him is pretty wild. Now, there's a couple things it's hard to. I don't like the third race. It's not really an apples to apples comparison, right? Because we don't have the Qatar race, we don't have Argentina. We don't we started on tracks these guys have ridden on like more than anything, right? Like they've all ridden Brno tons and tons and tons of times. It's not like the weird flyaway situation where we always throw it away. So saying he won his third race, yes, it's true, but it's not really. I'm not discounting, obviously, what he did, which is fucking legendary, but it's not really an apples-to-apples comparison of like a lot of other racers, simply because the schedule is totally different, like you said.
You could flip that, though, because everyone's been racing there their entire careers, and they all know it. So, in theory, everybody else knows it way better than you know it, especially on the big bikes, for you to then get on their level as fast on a big bike the first time you've been to Brno, because he's never been to Brno on the big bike. But he's been there on, to your point, Moto 2 and Moto 3, but Rossi's been there how many years in a row, right? So,
yeah, but you're not. All I mean is he doesn't have the time bubble the same way, right? Like the ability to win is going to obviously have better on a track he's more familiar. Everyone else is more familiar too, but then you get into like, oh man, I literally, I've only ridden this track a couple of times, which is a totally different situation in terms of knowing setup, knowing how things are going to work. It's not taking anything away. I just don't think this idea of comparing how quickly he won his first race as apt. Now, the other thing that people aren't talking about is that was like WP suspension. That's the first non-Owens win, I think they said, since 2009.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
When Pedrosa was on show.
Oh,
that's the thing they haven't talked about, right? So like a non-Öhlins, non-twin spar beam aluminum frame just won a race in the dry.
It's and I don't know. I attribute Brno to be a horsepower track, wouldn't you? Coming out of those.
I mean, this time it's not really horsepower. You know, they talked constantly about how the track was super greasy. They were sliding like crazy. Traction was an issue, and bumpiness was an issue. It was kind of the same thing that we've said for this season. Although Ev wasn't on the previous episodes, which is a lot of who's going to be winning these races is like when cooler heads prevail. I don't think it was a horsepower track in the way that Ducati goes and went and won in Austria in 2016, right? Like it's not the same way there. It helps, but not really. Look where the Ducatis were other than Zarco, right? Like other than Zarco, most of the horsepower bikes weren't good. If it was a horsepower track, you would have seen probably Honda's not battling it out for 17th and shit. You know what I mean? One of the great things about this season is things are so topsy-turvy that the cream can really rise to the top, because I think that last 1 or 2% of the bikes is being negated by just the craziness of 2020.
Do you think
let me take this for fast. I mean, that's exactly what we said before, just kind of about the parity in GP, right? Is you just need some wrench thrown into the works to flip things on their head, right? Just to change that couple of percent. The parity in GP is so close at this point that that's all it takes to get a crazy new winner and to get, new people on the podium, to get no factory bikes on the front row from qualifying, right? Like these things to have Zarco beat all of the other Ducatis on the third tier Ducati team when he's been riding that bike for the least number of miles out of all the Ducatis on the grid.
So it's actually hilarious and awesome at the same time, right?
It is. And I mean, I guess I do kind of want to get back to Binder, because I don't really want to discount his performance here, because he did still manage to beat everyone else in handily, right?
Right.
But I mean, for me, it was going into the race, it was Franco, who we'll get to later. But then it really, once the race was progressing, I was kind of rooting for people to slow the hell down. Like, what are you doing, Fabio? What are you doing, Franco? Like, you're going out too fast. You're not going to have enough for your tire. And I mean, in the end, they didn't. And somehow Binder was able to get through the field. I mean, he didn't have to go that far, but he was able to get through the field and still have the rear tire, whereas a lot of the other competitors were not able to make those passes and save the rear tire for the end of the race.
They were talking about too that the KTM spent a lot of time getting the rear end grip dialed in, and then that was in large part, what they think they figured out this weekend.
The one, or Kev, what were you going to say there?
I forgot. Sorry. Checking the chat.
The one thing that I kind of noticed with the KTM, and the announcers brought this up too, was the braking performance out of the KTM was absolutely absurd during the race. Yeah. And so we've talked about that before with the Repsol bikes previously, was that if you can actually just pass someone by having amazing braking performance, and you make up a lot of lap time there, then you've got the easy pass. You're not using the rear tire. It just seemed like the balance of the bike used the front tire more than the rear compared to the competitors, and then was able to save it for the latter part of the race. Whereas the Yamaha, they really require edge grip, and then the drive grip at this track is hard for everyone. And the Yamaha just didn't seem to have it compared to the KTM. They used more of the rear tire, and Binder was able to capitalize on all of that.
Yeah. He was pretty smooth the whole race.
Yeah, I mean, I do like, when Franco did say too in his post-race press conference that he kind of realized he didn't have it, and he was just going to I got to get this podium, So, and again, the discretion is the better part of valor for him. I don't know how hard he could have done if he was fighting early on, if he didn't be like, hey man, I just got to get this podium and get that monkey off my back. Could he have fought harder? Maybe, I don't know. But for me, what a lot of this season's going. You're going to see it. We saw Pecco break his tibia right in practice, and you're going to see it's going to. I think again, I've said this is going to continue. And while these fantastic results are super entertaining, it's not like Binder's ride at the front was that entertaining from an objective point of view, right? Like subjective, like you want the South African, you want a KTM to win, you want Binder to win because you like him. It's all rad, but it wasn't like there was a ton of action. You're going to see that more as riders realize, like, I just have to bring this bad boy home.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of a condition of being at tracks that we normally don't go to, like this early in the summer and in these temperatures. It also seems to be a condition of the new Michelin rear tire.
Right.
I mean, Franco was on the soft rear tire, and everyone else was using the medium. So
right, exactly, right, and yet it was Fabio that totally fell back while Franco was able to maintain. He got a little help from Zarco having to take that amazing long lap penalty. Probably, probably sealed second place for him. But
did we real quick remind me? Did we make any prophecies on the Binder win? I know. I was really excited to watch him into the series. I don't know if anybody would have predicted a win this year.
I have a funny story about that. Well, here, Rob Sherrock, I rode hair scrambles in D36. I'm pretty sure, like Livermore, Hollister, all that good
District
stuff.
36,
yeah. But either way, so I have a friend that knows absolutely nothing about motorcycle racing. Like she knows that I race motorcycles. She knows that I'm absolutely obsessed with it. She knows about BrotoGP. She's watched 5 minutes of BrotoGP with my significant other, Luca. But we have this game that goes on predictions. Like I was literally putting the race on to watch it, and she was walking out the door because we went on the bike ride together, and I ask her, all right, who's gonna win? And she goes, orange is gonna win. Yep. And that's what she does. She picks a color, and like, because all the bikes are kind of color coordinated, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, no. There's no way in hell orange is gonna win because he who shall not be named is out from injury, right? There's no fucking way orange is gonna win. And this is actually the second time she was right. The last time I think she said red was going to win, and there was a Davizioso win or something last year. And now I need to like get a freaking VPN and sign up for like a bwin.com.
Right, exactly.
She's clairvoyant. Yeah,
she's freaking clairvoyant. So I texted her afterwards, and she was like, I fucking called it. I told you. God damn it.
I mean, we knew this kid was special, right? But like,
no, we didn't. No, we knew
did.
This kid,
I
knew
did.
This kid was fucking hyped up by the English-speaking announcers about the South African. That's what we knew.
Come on, Kev, give me some credit. I was loving him in Moto2.
Ev was definitely big on Binder for even way back in the day.
After
Moto3,
that Moto3.
Moto2 early, after when he came from the back of the grid all the way up.
That was it. That's when you knew it. Getting chills.
Yeah, when you do those kind of spectacular, when you can win that easily, like from the back of the grid, right? We talked about that with Marquez. If you can get to the back and still get to the front, especially when you do it that fast, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, but Ev was definitely on it. The interesting thing is how KTM. Well, my biggest thing about Binder wasn't that he wasn't good or not. I mean, he's a world champion. He won a shitload of races in Moto2, but it was like the KTM, right? I remember after a while I said I wasn't really looking forward to like what happened because KTM had they'd been pretty poor for a number of years. Their first try podium was a win, right? And how many podiums they have? They got that one with pole. Otherwise they've been nowhere. And like I kept saying the same thing, like, fuck, man, remember I said this, we got Miguel Oliveira, Johann Zarco, and Binder, all the guys who should be challenging Marquez stuck on KTMs, right? Like one of the things at first I really gave KTM all that credit for like franchise system, but this whole like, what are you laughing at? But I'm just super glad it's come home to work out because those guys were straight. I was thinking they were banished to the back of the grid because of that bike.
I'm laughing that you're not reading the chat. The chat has developed a new drinking game. Every time your video freezes, they drink.
Okay, so it's every time he says KTM.
No, everyone's playing the other game. You're the one playing that game.
Well, I'm playing my own game. I just want to get drunk, and talk motorcycles. But yeah, no, Kev. What's really okay? So this is the other part of it. Of the win is less Bindery. To your point, it's more KTM-y, and they literally prophesized we're going to enter this series, and by 2020 we're going to get a win, and they did.
It was 2021, I think, is what the announcer said on the race.
Within 5 years. But but we all joke. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way you can jump in this series and get a win in 5 years. And here, this little fucking Austrian motorcycle company that has zero road racing experience is literally doing it. And you've got
They don't have zero. They've got they had 125s and 250s.
Okay, I'm sorry.
and
At the big
Moto2
bike
bikes.
level. At the big bike level. I'm sorry.
No, they had their RC8 that
Those
they
things.
raced.
Okay, I mean at the real big bike level. No, you want to nitpick, but my point is that's remarkable. You got Aprilia who still can't figure it out, and they've been around forever.
Well, so
I mean, the
what's
main
the
difference
distinction?
is they have what's the distinction? Fucking $500 million from Red Bull.
I don't know if they have that much money.
What's
but
really good about this that I like is that they literally did it their way. Like they had no compromises. They did it. They grew their own riders from the ground up, right? Like they have Binder did it. Binder was their guy in Moto 3, then in Moto 2, and then in MotoGP. Like they created their whole system. They brought Pedrosa over. They invested in getting like a really high-end test rider. Everything about what KTM has done has been like that's why they said we didn't, like, you know, I don't know if they actually did or didn't, but the talk when Marquez didn't go was they were like, oh, we don't want him anyway because if he wins then everyone's like, it's Marquez. But right now you can, right, and this I want to touch on how stupid Marquez looks right now with what has gone down this season and staying at Honda and how bad Honda looks. But KTM did everything their way. They created an entire farm system. They created the bike. They slowly invested in it. They got it to a certain point. Then they brought a world championship caliber rider in to help develop it. You know, like everything they've done, like leading to this point, was their way and perfect. They entered, like, they created a satellite team after another. Like, look how far ahead they are. Like, it's crazy. Suzuki has wins, right? But they're ahead of Suzuki.
Yeah.
Now, like, they have a farm system. They have satellite teams with good riders. Like, they have like everything about what KTM's doing is their potential in the next 3 years is higher than Suzuki's. Look at Suzuki. Alex Rins had a great ride, but completely destroyed. You know, Mir is nowhere. He's been kind of a bust. Now, this race, it wasn't his fault, but this guy has not taken the steps forward they were expecting, and they have no real farm system. Whereas KTM had that farm system and got all of, like, look at what did Honda do? They got Alex Marquez, the fucking guy who's manufactured their championships. But KTM has two amazing rookies. Not two, because Miguel, you know, but they've got their farm system. They've got Binder, Miguel. They bring in over Petrucci to the team. Like they got Danny Pedrosa test riding for them. Like, that's a really good squad. And yes, it is obviously Binder's win, and it's so crazy to be the first guy from your country to do something and to do it like that, right? Like, he's not the first fucking guy to smoke 90 cigarettes, right? Like, from the old timey thing. He's the first guy to win a MotoGP race, and he won it straight up in the dry. That's
on a KTM
so rad.
For the first time.
On a KTM, right?
Yeah.
Well, so it's like KTM took every little bit of what other factories and other teams have put in place to kind of solidify their presence in GP and improve their performance. And they took all their Red Bull money and they combined them all together to do everything they possibly could, right? Because we've seen Ducati get a solid test rider in Piro, right? We've seen Ducati bring over Gigi Dall'Igna from Aprilia, and KTM has Mike Leitner. Right, we've seen actually, who else has a farm system that goes as deep as KTM's? No one does.
I mean, theoretically, Aprilia, but they don't use it.
Rossi, but it's not factory based.
Yeah,
right?
and well, so Yamaha had the farm system, at least in the satellite team, and there was kind of some with Tech 3 having the Moto 2 team. There was a little bit of path there, but KTM has taken it to an extreme, and they do it better. Like, that's exactly, all of those things had to fall into place and had to be paid for so that KTM could do this in 4 or 5 years, right? There was no way in hell they were going to accomplish this kind of result in that short of a time frame, because we've seen it time and time again. Like Kev already brought up Suzuki, right? We always made the joke when Suzuki first came back, right, that they were going to come in with a chunk of change, stay for 3 years, and then bounce. They've now proved us wrong, but they're not having the same increase in performance because they're lacking the other parts.
Yeah, exactly. Every professional sport with the best farm system usually gets gains over a period of time, right? Like the Cubs, when they finally got it, they had a killer farm system, and that's in large part how. But it takes time. You just don't. A lot of people don't realize it.
But it doesn't take that much time if you also have hundreds of millions.
Well, yeah, money solves problems in motorsports for sure. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is, right? Money solves problems, but they still had to someone still had to choose Binder, someone still had to choose Oliveira, because you could have the farm system, right? Like Rossini had the farm system. They had Moto3, Moto2, and MotoGP, and they chose Sam Lowe's.
They went the wrong way. Yeah. Well, no,
you know what I mean.
They tried. They just went the wrong way.
Yamaha de facto has it, not the same level, but obviously, Valentino is sort of like their proxy in this, the VR46 Academy, and they got, Yamaha got a Moto2 champion into their team. He got his first podium just now. Like, there's ways that you can do it, but it's how concise and the self-contained bubble that is KTM's is crazy. But I want to kind of touch on like how when the World Cup comes around soccer that comes around, and like y'all know that girl or that dude who like did a summer abroad in some country, so they always root for that country. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's always that shit. Well, like right, like I was that guy, right? I didn't do like a summer abroad in Africa, but I have done some backpacking trips relatively extensively through it. So like I have this like stupid irrational like first world problem type thing where I'm like, oh yeah, Africa, because I've been there, so I identify, even though I don't identify in actually any way whatsoever. But I was so fucking stoked when Binder was winning this. I remember like Dennis texted us and he's like, is it worth watching? I'm like, don't look at social media. I was so like stoked to get for Binder to get this win, and for a South African, and just like for that continent to actually see. If anyone's been to like major metropolitan hubs on that continent, and I've been to it's a huge continent, so it's hard to say like, oh, the country of Africa, but that place is primed to explode with bikes. There are bikes everywhere. It's like being in India, but like there's so many bikes. And there's so much oil, especially in West Africa and Nigeria, that like it's primed for like an African version of what Petronas is doing. It's so, and this is one of those things. Like Petronas is opened the floodgates in many ways, and this is a prime time to really open those floodgates into a whole new market. Like I'd love to see Welcome back on the, I know there's a lot of work, but that track has some legendary races like that, getting that back on the schedule now that we have a South African winner. Like, yeah, this year is a glorified European championship, but let's make this thing a real world championship. Let's get an African race back on that calendar. Mm-hmm. We got races on in every, it's the only continent we don't have races on. Let's get, other than Antarctica, but that's what I'm saying. We got to go, if you want to get some ice tires going, we could do that.
Ooh, that'd be fun. They already do that in the for their like demos or whatever in the off season.
Yeah.
Actually,
right.
so I have a point. I have a point that'll kind of lead into our final point for this episode. So I have an idea for how to make every season of MotoGP from here on out more exciting. Right. So the season generally is structured with the flyaways in the beginning and the flyaways at the end. Like, don't change those. Those are already batshit crazy. You got 3 in the beginning, 4 in the end. We're solid. Right. Mm-hmm. But for the middle, for the European rounds, every single year, you take all the tracks, you throw them in a hat, and you just draw them. And that's the order that you race in. Like, you don't give a shit about,
everyone's freaking out because you said everyone's freaking out because you said final point. Like the episode's going to be over.
No, we'll get to this later. But either way, so you take the European section.
Once they have fans back, it won't work because people want to plan their holidays and their vacations.
No, it'll work because you just tell them in October the year before. You tell them what the calendar is going to be. You just pick it.
Oh, you're saying, okay, pre-pick it. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You meant like the week before. Hey, pick out of a hat. Here we're going here.
No. I mean, no. Well, in 2020 you could do it, but to Rob's point, yes, because what we've proven is that when you take away the familiarity of it, just like we talked about the last couple of podcasts about taking certain percentages of familiarity away, how wild it can get due to the nature of the sport. if we start racing at Phillip Island in totally different times, if we start racing in different areas in totally different times, it really, really changes the dynamics. It changes, it stops it from being like Moto PC, into MotoGP. Like, it's not the computer simulation. It's not like whose, traction control is most dialed in, because we know these exact conditions year after year after year, except for the few outlier tracks that have wild conditions. I love the idea of really changing these races to be different times of the year. It's the same tracks. We released the calendar a year before or 2 years before, but I love the idea of, like, we need to have a little bit more parity in the series. And if we take away the power of some of the factories by throwing a little bit of a wild card, it's like an Uno draw 4. You know what I'm saying? Throw it in there a little bit and let's get wild and see what happens.
Skip, reverse.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. Now, it's not a humongous change, right? Because I'm only discussing it with the European rounds, right? So it's not going to dramatically increase the transportation costs for the tire supplier, for the teams, because the teams drive semis around to these tracks, right? When they're in Europe, right? So we're not doing the flyaways where they have to schedule Dorna has like 4 or 5 jumbo jets at this point. And if they brought in Velkdom in South Africa, it wouldn't be that track either. That would be a flyaway. Because I love how you brought up Africa, and I swear the place that you were in Africa was further away from where you were than from Welcome than most normal distances. Because Africa is a massive continent.
No, it was a joke. Well, yeah, because most people are used to the Mercator projection of the globe onto a map, they have a totally distorted idea of how big the African continent or the Southern Hemisphere actually is. The Mercator projection, because obviously you can't project a globe correctly, so in any projection of a map is incorrect. It's a projection, which is basically the idea if you wrapped a paper around a globe and then pulled it out, that's what it looks like.
Peel an orange and trying to make it flat.
Peel an orange and try to make it flat. Yeah, see what happens. So the Mercator projection is in most American classrooms, not with this insidious racial dynamic, although maybe a little bit, but actually the idea is that if you look at it, that's the number one map used for shipping lanes. And one of the reasons is it shows shipping lanes correctly, but also if you were to look at each country individually, it's the correct shape. So yes, let's say the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Central Africa is a gigantic country that's unreal huge. The correct shape on the map exists, but it's not scaled correctly to other countries.
Yes. Everyone needs to PayPal you $20 for just getting smarter about maps.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at
Noah Nichols said, "Fuck yeah."
That was just some serious knowledge you dropped.
Yeah, you can fit the entirety of the United States, China, and most of Western Europe inside of the continent of Africa.
For the record, I have no idea what Rob actually said prior to you saying that in terms of his question and distance. Rob, I don't know what sentence you were forming. Keep drinking, buddy. Keep drinking.
We joked about COVID the other day, and it was I happened to be in East Africa when the West African Ebola outbreak happened, and people were freaking out. And I was like, "Y'all realize if you're in New York, like you're as close to that Ebola outbreak as I am right now, because like that was like I'm not any closer to it than you just because I'm on the same continent. Like that's how far,
Kev,
of course, an Ebola outbreak.
Kev, you got to give a shout out to Tyler here. He just dropped $5 Canadian for the
$5 Canadian dollars
of map projections.
Map projections. I love Tyler. Tyler's my homie. Tyler, if you're not in the BrotoGP army, you get the exemption for being in because we've officially locked that group for the
Kev also does homeschooling for anyone else whose kids need it.
Exactly. I will straight homeschool the shit out of you.
So many topics are up for grabs from Kevin's knowledge bank.
Is this a good transition to the irony of Zarco podiuming at the race that KTM won on the seat that he technically left by his own free will, and in theory could have been on? Is this it? Can we go there?
It's not irony, but it's definitely
super ironic. What do you mean?
It's not. I mean, what's ironic is that he bounced out the fucking guy that probably would have made a KTM 1 too.
Yes, he would have. He could have, in theory, been on what's maybe hyped as the new hot bike, right? And yet he left
Oh,
to
I
go
mean,
to like a
fuck,
third tier team.
his career is like completely different because although he wouldn't have gotten like that podium, right? Like because he had already quit
Probably
in his
not.
mind.
No,
It's like saying it's ironic for Cal to go to LCR right
of
as
course,
the Ducati,
but
right?
it's
He'd already quit. The bike wouldn't have gotten as good as it was. It wouldn't have gotten developed if you had like he bounced. He was done. So there's no way. If we talked about this in the podcast before, like that, what a confidence does for an athlete is so massive in terms of the final percentage for performance points that being unconfident and not wanting to be there, he wasn't going to win that race. You stick Zarco on a KTM under the same conditions. He's not even winning. He's not getting top 5. But now what I like about Zarco and this time is Zarco, right? He fucking collides. This was great because he collides with Pole. Pole knocks down. They give him the long lap penalty. And he just like a straight up boss,
just
powers to the long lap, knee down through the dirt. And what it really reminded me of was like Anthony Gobert showing up like high on coke, but still fat and like getting pole position in qualifying. Right?
Watch,
like, fuck you.
Hold
like,
my beer. Watch this.
Yeah, exactly. That was like how did he still have he had like a gut even though he was a cokehead, right? But like Zarco gave no fucks. What the hell was happening there that was able basically like I don't give any fucks. I'm just gonna hit this thing full bore and literally not lose a single place. It was so awesome because it was like the most pissed off French like thing I've seen.
Angry. It was super angry. He got that little fucking rider note, long lap, and he's like, fuck your long lap. I'm rolling that shit.
I mean, Zarco has that sort of demeanor, right? Like he doesn't, he gives a little bit of fucks. I wouldn't say he gives no fucks, but he just, if he's going to do something, he's going to fucking do it.
Oh
like,
yeah. He's got a chip on his shoulder.
Except for when he was on KTM. No, real fast.
Do anything at all.
Shout out to Eric. Kev, you're going to have to explain this one for me in 10 seconds or less.
I can explain anything you want.
10 seconds or less.
10 seconds or less. That's the they title on my sex tape.
Waterman butterfly map projection. What is? I don't know what that is.
Trump. Water, man, butterfly, map projection. That's him dropping in because the 1917 pandemic ended World War II. He said that today. Water, man, map projection.
What just happened? I don't know where I am.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. All right. Wait, there's another one in here. Oh, Sully was thirsty, so he wanted you to strike a freeze frame pose.
You gotta fake it so they can drink, Kev. No, you gotta like get all like choppy, like you're trying to, and then just like matrix out for a second.
Perfect.
Oh, there you go.
No, so the one thing I like about Zarco's long lap penalty is he pretty much showed all the Moto3, the Moto2, and like the 1 or 2 MotoGP races that have taken it previously. This is how you fucking do the long lap penalty.
Don't be a bitch. Don't slow down. Roll it hard, like how they all try and come out of pit lane entrance like ripping 100 miles an hour. It's like, no.
I mean, I was watching with Luca was watching the race with me, and she used to play tennis in high school, and I was like, this is like the fucking tennis god practicing serves by setting up the can of tennis balls like on the line and hitting it every time practicing the serve, because he rode the line.
It was borderline.
And when you're on a motorcycle, you can't see the line. Like you're hanging on the inside.
He just didn't give up.
I actually was like, I wonder what the rule is. Is it the bike or like the surface area of the bike rider? Because his leg was over the line. So
it's got to be the tire. It's got to be the tire.
I was like, fuck.
He's right.
If the plane's 3-dimensional like existence is perpendicular to the ground, he is halfway out of that lane.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And here's the other thing. Why did they have the long lap penalty right there of all places?
They essentially try and find like the safest place on each track to do it.
It's the one that would give spot.
Yeah, but it was probably just a place where the braking zone wasn't going to lead people into that.
Yeah, and then you come out. Yeah.
Some tracks have added asphalt to the
seen that
to the runoff zone to make a long lap penalty, and so they just kind of
it's like a crescent, or whatever. Right?
Yeah. But obviously, I mean, this is what Brno came up with, and this is what happened.
It was kind of a weak penalty, huh?
Yeah. So the best part is with Zarco's full on boss. of the penalty, he lost like 1.8 seconds, 1.9
Nothing.
seconds, and was just
Nothing.
right in front of Fabio right
Yeah,
afterwards.
it was so good. And imagine it could have all been different had that not happened. I mean,
It's the Raiders of the Lost Ark of penalties.
it was so cool.
It in the end, it didn't matter at all.
All right, so can we go back to the penalty itself?
Well, hold on, Kev. What were you gonna say?
I just said, yeah, having the penalty had no relevance to the plot of the race.
It was so great.
Yeah.
Had he come out behind him, maybe, because then they both had tires. His tire wasn't working all that great either, and just then he would have been in a different spot. But
if he would have come out behind Fabio, I would have said that he would have not
way different.
Because of Rins, and like Rins was kind of having trouble passing, especially passing a Ducati, right? Because even if the grunt off the corners isn't there, because Zarco had no tire whatsoever for the last couple of laps, the top end of the Ducati was still helpful dragging up the hill, and it pretty much prevented Rins from passing on the brakes. So, yeah, but all right, Ev, you want to go back to the actual penalty?
The incident, the controversy. I
made up my mind while it happened, because they showed it from the helicopter view while it happened, and it was very obvious to me that Pol Espargaro ran wide, and then Zarco was there. Like he wasn't in front of Pol in any way, shape, or form. He was probably 3/4 alongside.
Yep.
But when you run wide,
yep,
it is absurd for you to expect that there's not going to be anyone there.
All right.
Especially if you can fucking hear the motorcycle that's been chasing you the entire time.
Yeah. All right. I was wondering if you were going to take that stance, and I still see a shred of like, okay, I kind of get why they assessed the penalty, but man, you can't leave the door open like that and expect whoever's been right behind you the whole race not to go there, and to come right back on the race line is just stupid.
It was absolutely stupid, because if Pol Espargaro hadn't have done that, he would have been set up for the inside. Like if he had just pulled alongside and been a little wide, he would have been set up for the inside of the next corner, and he would have kept the position.
And he would have had the straight line into the back, that kind of front straight, second straight, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but because he decided to pull all the way back to the curb, he crashed. Yeah, and it's just
so dumb. And he was so mad. I don't know. I didn't like it. Or we probably have the racer mentality of the scenario versus the But what's his face was saying that he
steal his glory. That was his glory, right?
That is. He was thinking that. I know you saw that.
That bike, he was in the doldrums when they were fighting for just getting points. That was Pol's win. Brad stole that shit. He had the red mist down, not because of Zarco, but because he saw his glory running away. Like that was his best chance for a win.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. I mean, even the announcers were saying like, "Oh, you missed out on a KTM 1-2," and I'm like, "Well, no, you didn't."
But you got it. It's so interesting watching this guy Pol just get kind of bamboozled out of his own, what he probably thought was his destiny, and this other rookie kid just steals it. It was pretty fucked up, man.
I mean, it's happened to other racers before. Say that again.
All
Kev?
the stuff with KTM and Honda that's going on, it's like Pol's like, what the fuck am I thinking? Like they got to win. I was fighting for a podium in the dry, and then look back at Honda. Like he's gonna go to like the worst bike on the grid.
It's so crazy, right?
Second worst to Aprilia.
Yeah, that's crazy too. Yeah, that incident I thought was, I don't know. I think there shouldn't have been anything to begin with, but racing's racing, and he knew better than to come back on that line.
For the sole reason that like Red Bull wanted blood. They took him out. Red Bull is literally like the amount of money they're putting into the series. There's no Marquez right now. There's no one around. Ever just disappeared. And like I swear to God, that was just to appease Red Bull. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that was just literally like, okay, Red Bull, like, please keep spending money for your, sugar death drinks so that we can still have a series.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so we got to go back a little bit. The real reason for the penalty for Zarco was likely a lot of people think there's a conspiracy theory going on here, and I'm surprised that Everett didn't already bring it up. That if Zarco was Spanish, he would have not received the penalty.
Ooh.
Am I just throwing wood on the fire here and grasping at straws?
Nah, I think if anything, they didn't want that team to be on the podium.
the Real Aventia, which is now something else, Ducati team.
Yeah, I think you want to talk real conspiracy. I think that's a team that they weren't trying to do any favors, and yet they were. I don't know, man. I thought it was also strange, Carroll getting punted off that team, and then that team podiuming at his track was also kind of ironic. A lot of fucking irony in this race, man.
Ev, I love it. Like I thought you were just gonna jump on the nationality thing, and then you pulled something way there's no fucking way I would have thought that you were gonna say they didn't want the team on the podium. They're like, they need a factory bike to finish on the podium to make it worth it.
They wanted something else, man.
Yeah. I mean, the factory bikes spend the most money. They probably think they're entitled to the podiums and all the trophies and stuff.
It's not about that. Nobody wanted to reward Zarco. Nobody wanted to reward the team. Like, it's just that dude, the politics of that situation probably weren't too ideal at that track, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it was the singularity of weird.
I can't.
But Zarco willed it, man.
It's in 18 months. That team is literally supposed to be grid filler. How mad is Monster right now for sponsoring the Yamaha factory team? You know what I mean? And here's the joke. Some sponsor we don't know is on the podium. They just podiumed at MotoGP and we're like, who?
Yeah.
What? What's
factory Ducati, nowhere to be seen. Right. Factory Yamaha, nowhere to be seen.
There's only one sponsor who doesn't care about anyone knowing they're there, and that's Marblo. But otherwise, the fact that there's a team on the podium and we're like, yeah, we don't know who it was. I have no idea.
Yeah, who is that guy? Yeah.
God damn.
I don't know, man. It just was fucking weird. But that's where Zarco is going to do anything to be there. That's what was cool about that ride through long lap.
Yeah, what does he have to lose? Fuck it.
I know. It was so cool. It was
he's Zarco, right? Multi-time Moto2 champion. He did not crash. He did manage to bring it home. If he had to concede the position to Rins, probably would have managed it and taken the fourth, because that still would be an amazing result for him for his third race on that motorcycle. Second track even, right?
There's the conspiracy theory, is how was that bike even possible to do that?
All right, I got this one. I have this one. The conspiracy theory is that Dorna went to Michelin and is like, we can't have Yamahas not winning as many races. You got to do something about it.
Yeah.
They built a tire that both favored the Yamahas and the Suzukis, right? Because it's an edge grip tire. The tire seems to be turning in a little better and doing all of these things, and providing more edge grip, providing more turning. In doing so, somehow not somehow. Here's my theory of how they handicap the Ducatis. Everyone that's been riding a Ducati for the longest time focuses on the Ducati's strengths, right? Straight in, straight out of the corner. Use the braking stability, use the horsepower. Use the braking stability, use the horsepower. Zarco comes into the Ducati. Last time he performed well was on a Yamaha. So he's like, you know what? We'll do a hybrid, right? We'll make this Ducati kind of turn a little bit better, and I'll ride it like Yamaha, and this is what we get. Mm-hmm. Right? You give him a tire that offers more edge grip, which none of the other Ducatis they don't have a setup that's optimized for that edge grip, for that kind of turning. Zarco gets this tire and is like, yeah, I could work with this. And he puts it on the box 3 races in.
They designed a bike, they designed a tire that would work well for bikes ridden by Jorge Lorenzo. See what is Fabio like Lorenzo, even bad Brad Binder went out and he just managed that thing and drug, it was so predetermined by halfway into the race. They just said hey, when Lorenzo was the lead rider at Yamaha, everyone was good on it. When Lorenzo got better at the Ducati, they're literally just, let's make a tire that Lorenzo was
the Lorenzo tire.
Yeah, exactly. The whole tire.
They probably thought it would benefit the Ducatis too, because the Ducati has struggled with turning, right? Their like apex, very center of the corner speed is lower than all the other bikes, and that's one thing that they always struggle with. But it's kind of an unintended consequence. Like, you give them a tire that does turn better, but they can't use it because they were so focused on every other part of getting the motorcycle around the racetrack. So, I mean, and the KTM has come in, and it seemed like they were producing a bike that kind of modeled off of the Repsol. Like, we'll build a bike that's very difficult to ride first, and then Danny Pedrosa comes in and goes, no, we have to temper this thing. We have to make it easier to ride. They have the braking stability. I mean, at this track specifically, everyone was saying that it was rivaling the Ducati, and they managed to put in a shit ton of effort throughout the weekend.
One of the things that was funny that I always heard, the KTM rides like a Honda. How the fuck do you know? How does anyone know? No one that rode the Honda rides KTMs. It's designed by a bunch of Yamaha riders. There's no one on the fucking KTM.
It's front end. It's a front end bike. I think it is a Yamaha copy.
Saying that shit, like they're just making that shit up, like, you know, like that's just like the weirdly commonly accepted like wisdom. Except, how does anyone know? They're just looking at how a Honda is being ridden, and the Honda is being ridden by Marquez. No one knows how to ride it like him. No one actually knows. Does a KTM ride like a Honda? I don't know, but what I do know is it was designed. It was development was by a fucking dude who rode Yamahas. The lead development was by those guys, and then, you know, finally the Honda, Danny Pedrosa comes in to help develop it, but he didn't do shit on his last year in Honda because that Honda sucked. He was trying to help design that thing to ride like an older Honda when it was more universal. I don't really buy the wisdom that it rides like a Repsol. Nah, fuck it, miss me with that shit.
Well, we'll get to find out next year, which will be great. If Pol Espargaro can jump on the Honda and have fast, comparable results, be fast right away, then that's probably the first point of legitimate support for that entire idea.
Yeah, that'll be your telltale sign. Yeah. Do you think that secret tire they made to kind of do this race maybe actually backfired, and that's why the KTM benefited? Because cat's in a box, bro.
Hey,
cat's trying to scratch on your cat in.
What's oh shit? What's in there?
There's like Dovey shirts in there. The cat's is
that Rob's mixtape?
Those Dovey shirts now are extra. They come with extra cat hair.
They come with
they're in plastic
cat hair
bags.
from Rob's studio.
I've only had one person request extra cat hair on their shirt in ordering it, and I did not oblige.
Definitely. Did you put it in like a Ziploc baggie to retain the scent?
No. I mean, well, they get shipped in plastic bags, so like close enough. Kev, people are requesting that you pet your cats, but I don't think. I think that's a pillow. I think that's a pillow.
Want me to go get Buster? There is no cat in here right now. That's not a cat. There's no cat in this room. I can go get Buster.
My neighbor's dog's name's Buster.
2 thumbs up if you want Buster.
On YouTube it's F in the chat if you want something. So F in the chat if you want to see Buster.
Yeah, exactly.
Why F?
I don't know. It's just a YouTube thing. That's what happens.
Logan Paul said so we have to.
F. It did nothing.
So people are asking if we're gonna make new shirts, and I'm gonna give them a.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, it's gonna be like not. It's not going to be the thing, but it's going to be just like a tiny little hint. And I'm going to go real fast.
Don't do it.
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
You're going to make the Kev mad. I've seen it before, dude. Oh, no.
It's not the thing. It's not it.
You can't
they didn't even see it.
You can't even see it on his side. Stop it, you tease.
There are a lot of F's in the chat.
Bender shirt. Too soon for Bender shirts.
It is way too soon for Bender shirts.
You know what we should make? What kind of shirt? We should do like the Ghostbusters logo with a slice of pineapple pizza.
And Kev is the ghost.
And Kev like, yeah, something.
Didn't Slimer loved pizza. That's perfect. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Someone Remy will come up with that. No, Rob is not watching porn on his phone. All right, what's our next topic at hand here? Where's
the internet to watch porn on his phone? Let's go.
Where's the syllabus? All right. Oh, actually, so we kind of didn't actually touch on whether or not the penalty was bullshit. I mean, I decided, But the penalty was obviously bullshit. If you hadn't seen it, Simon Crafar said after the race on Twitter or something that he saw the helicopter footage and he agreed after the fact that the penalty was bullshit. So in the beginning, he kind of, he made up his mind based on potentially incomplete information. He saw it again and thought that the penalty was incorrect.
It was bad analysis, man. He was saying it because he's like, Zarco should have known that Pole would come back on the line, that he made a V out of the turn. But I disagree. He blew the turn wide, and he could have rode even wider than normal.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know what Simon was watching at the time. He could have been interviewing someone, right? Like things are
drinking.
He's also not looking at the screen, like he's doing his freaking job. So, but yeah,
Buster's looking good.
Buster, God, what is Buster wearing?
I don't know.
That's strange. Kever, they're asking if Buster's wearing a Lorenzo scarf.
Yes.
Lorenzo.
Ryan said that Crafar only said that after Stoner dunked on him, and I don't know if that's actually true. Now we lose Everett. Everett, stop touching.
My camera
things.
keeps going blurry. I don't know why.
Wave at it. All right, Everett is not in HD anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
All right,
it's not cool, man.
Our next talking point is actually back to the Yamahas. So we kind of covered on this a little bit, but the one thing that I really wanted to touch on was the brilliance that was Franco's entire weekend. Right? Jerry Curl was on point for the entire weekend.
That Jerry Curl is solid too. He has Jerry juice, no doubt. Everett is gone.
I'm good.
Yeah. This is amazingly technically.
I guess the question is, where did that come from?
It's like, that's one of the things that happens with all these riders is that if you start off well Friday, then you can kind of focus on the things that really matter in the race, right? So Franco was able to get enough out of his electronics, enough out of his setup to be able to run the soft tire in the race. The soft tire obviously helps him not spin the rear tire as much, which may have actually contributed to less tire wear. But he had the pace in every single session. If he wasn't in the top 5 for the session, it's because he chose not to focus on going for a fast lap, and then ends up on the front row with everyone else. Or with Quartararo and Zarco.
Rossi's been teaching him, man. Rossi's been teaching him. You don't need fast laps in practice, man. We talking practice.
That's not a litter box.
Rossi's never trying to be fast in practice. You don't want to tip your hand. You want to save it up and show people in the race.
Yeah, but so that's the thing about Franco, right? He showed his hand and he showed everyone that they were way far behind.
He was feeling good. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's
good to see. He's second, right? Second in ship.
No,
he's second now.
He's tied with Dovizioso for fourth.
Oh, he's like 2 points behind Vinales now.
Yeah,
man, that's a whole different dumpster fire right there. We gonna talk about that clown?
We're gonna get there. Ducati. Actually, we kind of forgot about Ducati when we were talking about Zarco. All right, let's finish up.
Show them once, which is amazing.
Say that again, Kev. Yeah. What?
This is a cat cam. I don't even know what's happening right now. It's so great. He's like, "Let me on, motherfucker. I'm Buster."
Everyone on the podcast, Kev has flipped his camera over just to show Buster like sitting in a box.
What's that cat tail wag mean?
He's chasing something. Trent, thank you for the Canadian $5 for the cat tax. We did not. Azure13 says that's a big pussy on the chat.
Yes.
Buster is massive. Like,
no, Buster's he's a straight up unit. There's no question. Buster is a fucking unit.
Isn't Buster both of my cats put together? Like he's like 18 pounds or something, right?
Does he take your pre-workout?
Yeah, boy, look at him lumbering by. There's Buster Cam.
He looks like a pretty chill cat, man. Is he one of those cats you can just pet anywhere and he's just like happy that you're petting him?
He's good.
He'll bite you.
Yeah. I'm just now seeing this in the chat. They've actually they've got an acronym for title of Rob's sex tape.
Oh shit!
Wow,
Torst.
Nice.
That's your new call sign, dude. Torst.
Torst.
Dude, that's your new. You need that on your helmet everywhere.
Torst.
on your leathers. That's your new. You need the fucking thing of your like the tramp stamp for racers and shit, like all that.
All right, Buster is Cartman from Animals. Animals says for the win.
Dude, this is hilarious.
Right.
All right, back on task here, buddy.
Sorry, failing. Kev, flip it back around.
Focus.
Kev, flip it back around. I'm struggling.
Rob, focus.
All right. So
drink some more first.
So
I'm gonna let him out. You guys finish it up. Or finish up your point here, and I'll jump in. I'm just gonna let him out. It's hot as fuck in this room.
Yeah, same here. Franco's Jerry Curl. Franco's dead sexy. Oh, Petronas Yamaha versus Factory Yamaha. I think Kev said this earlier. Like Monster is kind of pissed that they're sponsoring Factory Yamaha for all of that. It's very interesting to see kind of the resurgence of the satellite teams, right? This is kind of shades of 2004, 2005, 2006.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I can't, like, I have to blame partially the Petronas money, like all that oil money coming into a team, and Yamaha finally saying like, oh, you want to pay an ass ton for the best possible bikes and all the technical support? Sure, you can do it. And then Franco and Fabio have the talent to take advantage of that entire package.
Dude, that team is going to beat Repsol in the team championship. Straight up.
Oh, already done.
I mean, the Factory Yamaha team.
Yeah, close.
Side bet. I'm in. Hobo dollars. Let's go.
All right, $5 to $5. I can't be to the super chat to the Road Racing Action Fund. $5 to the Road Racing Action Fund. I say that Factory Yamaha still beats Petronas Yamaha in the team championship.
I'm in it, man.
All right. You think Petronas is gonna win?
Yeah, they're gonna definitely get manufacture. Dude, they're both looking too good.
Not manufacturer, team.
Well, how's Repsol Honda even gonna get there as a team? Because
they're not
factory. You said Factory Honda.
No, he meant Repsol, and he was saying something so obvious.
Yeah, Factory Honda is the Repsol. Repsol's the factory team. So
I
like the
understand.
championship is the team, not the constructors championship, which is the point.
That's the distinction I'm making. Correct. We're saying team versus team, right, Rob?
Yep.
Yeah.
How can you win this? Marquez is missing 3 races. How can you even win this?
He's missing 5 races. He's going to at least miss 5. He's going to have missed the opening
round. You should really rethink your bet.
He's going to miss Jerez, Andalusian, Brno, and at least Austria 1 and 2.
I'll take your free money.
If not more.
No. My bet is Factory Yamaha versus Petronas. That's our bet, Everett.
Yeah, I'm picking Petronas.
Yeah, you can have Petronas. I got Factory Yamaha. I think that Mav and Rossi will come out ahead in the team championship versus Fabio and
Oh, I thought you said Factory Repsol. I'm sorry, Factory Honda.
I'm doing Factory Yamaha.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'll take that bet still. Good.
Okay, good.
You got it?
Perfect.
Rob or Kev, you're the witness. And these other
I'm the fucking arbiter of truth.
$5 to the Road Racing World Action Fund. What a deal.
Perfect. If you don't know, everyone, the Road Racing World Action Fund is used to like pay for air fences and stuff at tracks around the United States.
Safety.
Yeah, for safety. It helps out American road racing. It's great. They probably need more money than $5. Have you seen some of our tracks?
Right.
Pretty sweet.
All right. I have no idea why the Factory Yamaha team was inconsequential in this race. Why Mav shit the bed. Like it definitely seemed like he didn't have the pace the entire weekend. Had a little bit of qualifying pace, but not really that much. But they were just shown up by the Petronas team.
Rossi thought he did
again. Right there's nowhere. Yeah, but he got 5th. Like okay, like the Petronas team has 2 wins in the first 3 races. They got 2 wins in a second.
I'm just telling you what he thought he did. He thought he did okay.
You know what I mean? Like he did okay, but like that. I actually think you're going to be right on Rob's bet, or I think Rob's going to be right long term over the season. But early in the season, they're really struggling. Mavs has tended to come on strong in the end, later parts the last couple of years, but. I don't know. I mean, one thing I think is this is going to be a season of attrition. I still think we see. I mean, how many like legitimate fractures have we seen in the first 3 races? Right? We have Marquez, we have Cal, we've got Pecco, and we've got Alex Rins. Right? So we've got those are all, and we got those are all high end, like on the factory versions of their bike, right? Like
And
Pecco has the
three
Miller
rounds.
has
And
Three
what's ironic-
rounds.
And what's ironic is Bruno's usually a factory Yamaha, like just stomping ground.
Yeah, pencil it in.
Rip on people there.
Right. Back when we talked about like what's a Ducati track, what's a Yamaha track, what's a Honda track, but now that's all thrown out. But I still think Valentino is going to end up doing better at the end of the season simply because he's going to survive. I think that you're going to see at least 2 more major riders get major injuries. What I mean is injuries that see them miss multiple rounds.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a consequence of the condensed season, right? Is an injury now. You don't get injured at the start of the summer break and come back for the next round. You get injured and you miss to the next 2.
What happens when you think you can come back from a broken humerus after 3 days and completely destroy your season because you can't miss 1 race, which turns into missing 4 races?
All right, go for it.
Is the right word for that? Hold on, is the right word for that hubris?
No, humorous.
Humorous and hubris are very close. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is so stupid, like what they've done. Anyway, like I know we talked about how awesome Puig was last episode because of how he has Marquez's back 100%, but that bike straight sucks. That bike is absolute hot trash garbage. And it's so bad and they're nowhere. And the idea that this kid thought like he could just come back, that no one stopped him and said, like, you can't, like Honda can still say, hey, it's our bike. You can't ride it. They can just like, we pay your salary. Right now, they're paying that kid $25 million for this year. They signed him to a 4-year, $100 million deal, the biggest deal in the history of racing in terms of pure salary, history of motorcycle racing. And he's not even there. 5 races at least, he's not going to be there. A third of the season, he's not even going to be there. It's probably going to be more, honestly. And the idea that they even let him ride the bike with a broken plated humerus is insane. And now we have this story that he damaged it by opening a window. This is I was going to make a bad joke, but this is some, like, I fell down some stairs or hit my face on a doorknob style bullshit. Like, what? Puig, like, Puig was forcing him to do pull-ups at, like, 3 a.m. to fucking get stronger, right? And then that thing just let go. This idea that he was going to get on a MotoGP bike, which we're constantly told are so difficult to ride, that these guys are superheroes, that these guys are beyond professional athletes, and because he can do a few push-ups, he's good to go fit. It's so ridiculous that he was even able to ride. It's actually like a dereliction of duty on these doctors. If we want to get total real for a second, the fact that these doctors let him do this, it's absolute disaster that they would let him ride. He didn't crash. He didn't injure himself crashing, bumping anyone. He simply rode some laps on Saturday, called it a day, and he has to get a couple of days later. He's bent the plate. He's got to get new surgery. If he was so weak and so susceptible to injury that the act of opening a heavy window could have injured him, if we buy the story, what the hell was he doing on a motorcycle? They could have ruined this kid's life. The radial nerve is right there. It's where the break happened. He's got 90 fucking screws and a titanium plate stuck in his arm, and they let him on that thing, and everyone around him said, yep, that's good. We're going to let this happen. It's an absolute dereliction of duty on the point of every single person in that line. Not Marquez. He's got one job: win motorcycle races. He's irrational by definition that he would do this job, right? Like, he's every single aspect of his life. The idea that you could think you're the best in the world is an irrational thought. The idea that you're going to be the best motorcycle racer on the planet, that's completely irrational. And if like anyone's kids told them that, you'd be like, come on, man, like go get a job at a bank and buy a house and then like sell software and have the best year of your life in 2020. Everything's fucking rad. Own 5 houses, live in Sacramento. That's average life. But and that they would let him do that is insane. And now what do we have? We've got this kid who's got a much worse injury, the world champion, missing all these races. And you know what sucks? The fucking season's hella better for it.
Hella better.
When
fucking crazy.
when I was mulling it over, I mean, obviously we didn't talk about Marquez's injury in the last season because he who shall not be named was not named. I was considering like the whole, you know, doctor adage, like do no harm. And if we're talking about, yeah, there we go. Thank you. If we're talking about a physician that just like performed the surgery and wasn't involved with the organization, they're going to give their recommendation and that's it. Like I've known people that hurt themselves motorcycle racing and they go in, the doctor says, you just got to wait it out. You'll be fine. Like don't do anything for the next 6 weeks. And then they go ride a motorcycle. And like, but that's it, right? The doctor gave their recommendation. They're not holding them down to this. But Dorna has physicians that sign off on this stuff, right? Like because other people's safety is involved.
They have multiple physicians. So that way, if you look at the FIM medical code, they have a chief medical officer. This chief medical officer has to actually be a physician. He has to be aware of the patient's history. This chief medical officer actually has to have personal malpractice insurance separate from MotoGP and all of that. They're required to have personal. I looked it up. I studied. It's 180 something pages. I read like the whole thing. You have to actually have personal medical malpractice insurance because you actually do it. And all these people say he passed the fitness tests. First of all, there's only technically per the code one fitness test that's like official for upper body fitness, and it's do 5 push-ups. I'm not joking. That is the actual thing. You can Google FIM medical code. It'll pop up. You can download the PDF. It's right there. Everything else is at the discretion of the chief medical officer. Even if you were to pass the chief medical officer's prescribed fitness test, let's say you break your scaphoid like your cow, and we say, hey, look, man, your scaphoid's got to hold these kind of G-forces, so you need to do 50 push-ups, and you got to do 10 one-handed push-ups. Let's say you do that, and you pass them. Even if a rider or an athlete passes your prescribed medical tests, you can still disqualify them for being too fit or being not fit to race. On top of that, there are avenues for other physicians within the paddock to disagree with the chief medical officer and petition for the rider to not be allowed to race. The forms are in the medical code. You can look it up. You can do this. There's no hard and fast rules that, oh, he passed the test. Yo, bro, this isn't getting into AP English in 9th grade saying, hey, I got 85% on my U.S. history exam. I get into AP English. This is literally like these tests are at the discretion of the doctor. And even if the doctor prescribes a test and let's say the athlete can pass it, but he doesn't like the way they passed it, or he thinks, that test was a little too easy, he can just say, rider medical fitness is, quote, at the discretion of the chief medical officer. That they allowed this kid to race is unbelievable. Like, forget the fact that we fuck with him or make jokes or whatever. Like, Marquez is a straight up human being who feels pain. Like, he has pain and suffering. You can't let some kid who's obsessed with winning world championships put himself and ruin his career or his season for one race. Like, you have to have some kind of objectivity. And then on top of that, there's a track doctor who is assigned by the track who can override the CMO. It happened in World Championship racing.
Yeah, I mean, like, with Cal, they overrode his, like, essentially his feeling and said, like, no, your head's kind of not there because you took a big knock to the head. Like, take a day off. And they only found the scaphoid because he felt pain later on. Had he ridden on it, the scaphoid injury likely would have been worse. And that's kind of, I mean, it's so stupid to see the two different situations.
If this was a legitimate sport and that had an independent athletic commission, Marquez would not even be allowed to train. He would only be allowed to rehab. He wouldn't even be allowed on a bike. If you're in the UFC, at the end of every UFC, at the end of every boxing match, or any combat sport, the independent commission prescribes medical suspensions. And you have to see a doctor and provide medical paperwork to have the suspension shortened or lifted. You see it all the time, potential 6-month medical suspension. What that means is you can't even train. And you know why I said this before he was going to race at the Andalusian. He should never even have been allowed to throw a leg over a motorcycle. If this was a legitimate sport, he would not even be allowed to be on a motorcycle.
That's fucked up. If this was a legitimate sport, that's so good.
Right?
It's a big sport.
The chief medical officer is set up is assigned by Dorna. The FIM doesn't assign the medical officer, which is crazy. They're the sanctioning committee, but the medical officer is assigned by by the promoter. You can't have the promoter do the medical officer. That's crazy. And this is what you get. Why does the Clinica Mobile have sponsors? Why does the Clinica Mobile sponsored by Alpine Stars, who's also Marc Marquez's leather sponsorship? And so the Clinica Mobile has a conflict of interest where they actually report on injuries sustained by the safety equipment that they're sponsored by.
Yeah. It's totally
crazy.
It's totally. I mean, that's supposed to be the whole point of the separation of the FIM and the IRTA and all this, like all these different groups they have, so that they aren't in cahoots allowing this kind of shit to happen for the sake of profits. And
I do wonder if IRTA is on top of this. If the Riders Commission, the teams commission, are like, why the hell did you let Marc ride? Right? Because there's like all the riders could potentially come together and get the safety or the medical officer to be not a part of Dorna anymore. Like those are the only ones that are actually going to move it. I mean, I guess since the medical officer is a part of Dorna and not a part of the FIM could take that power away from them. That's possible.
The only people that take the power.
Say that again.
And that's like, the FIM could say, like, no, your sanctioning fees pay for the doctor that we are going to assign to each round. Right? Yeah. Like that's how it goes. Like and don't get me wrong, it's not like independent commissions aren't rife with problems. You see this in boxing and combat sports in America, right? You like State Athletic Commission has some crookedness and connection to the mob or whatever, but at least there's not this obvious conflict of interest that people wanted to say, hey, Jorge Lorenzo broke his collarbone, but then he re-injured it and cracked his plate. But yeah, he crashed and bent the plate. Marc Marquez just rode like 40 laps. He rode a little over race distance. Race distance, injured catastrophically.
What's even more disappointing is he's got his dad at the track every race with him. He's got Puig at the races with them. I mean, it's just like, dude, you've got all these people that in theory care about you, and here you are doing this and doing this to yourself, and they're letting you do it. It's just, I'm sorry, man. Somebody should have been doing something.
His father is not a medical professional, right?
It's not about that. It's not about that. It's like, that's your son, dude.
All these, that's your son, but there's too many hangers on. This is why Uccio is so fucking important, man. Uccio is not like, Uccio's retirement isn't like based off of Valentino. He doesn't have like how some parents will like vicariously identify through the accomplishments of their children. Uccio was just Rossi's bro from when they used to race three-wheelers, through Tavua. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have someone that's grounded. This time and time again in pop culture, especially in music, when kids get huge. I think the other day, like Free Britney was like trending, even though she's a grown woman with kids. Somehow her mom still controls her trust. I'm not trying to like throw too much shade, but if your dad is your manager and your dad is like, hey man, you can get out there, and this happens, he doesn't first and foremost look at you as his son. You got to fucking ditch the dad, man. Like it's got to be done. Like that.
You're not at the track anymore.
Yeah. He can be at the track as a fan and as your dad, but he can no longer be monetarily involved in what you're doing because you have just shown your true colors, dog. Like you've just shown what actually matters is that you just view your kid as a cash cow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was I'm like disappointed in that situation. It makes me upset because BrotoGP talks shit about Marquez or whatever, but like I said, he's a real person. Human being who's just trying to do to live his life the way he wants to live, and I can fully absolutely respect that. And knowing that he's just absolutely being taken advantage of by this cabal. I mean, not being taken advantage of, he's paid $100 million, but you know what? Your radial nerve makes your fucking right hand work. Marquez is right-handed. Yeah, if your hand goes numb and you can't jack off anymore, I don't care. Not $100 million. Not worth
We've talked about this though, is that he's gonna. We thought it would be the shoulder, and now it's negligence around this, and it's like, what if this was career ending?
It's not the shoulder. Like it
Well,
still could very well be the shoulder.
Fine, but you know, what if this was career ending?
This is Everett. This is one of the things people were complaining about was like, oh, you shouldn't have been doing push-ups. But actually, if you look up medical journals regarding fractures and surgically repaired humeruses, which isn't hard because, again, the whole of all human knowledge is in this device right here, and yet we look at
they could have done that.
Right? But you can look up medical journals relatively easily, especially if you have access to a behind the paywall like I have it happen through some doctor friends. The number one thing you want to do after a humeral fracture that's surgically repaired is with it as 24 hours later, you want to make sure the shoulder and the elbow joint are getting movement and repair to prevent atrophy at those sites. I don't necessarily know about push-ups, but literally within 24 hours and on, you're supposed to be moving that elbow, moving that shoulder. You are doing movement. So people like getting mad because he was like doing presses and Arnold presses with 10 pounds. No. That's exactly what he should have been doing. He should have been moving his shoulder to prevent atrophy. And for someone whose shoulder is already dislocated multiple times and injured and surgically repaired, he already probably has atrophy injury issues. Like, he should be doing exactly that. But what he shouldn't have been doing was dealing with fucking head wobble and the G-forces that can flip through that thing, or just literally the fucking the consistent force of hard braking like he does.
The chat is discussing the structural integrity of a plate on one side of the bone and why it was not able to take the entire thing. But let's, Kev, I like that you're essentially going to bat for Marc Marquez here, because I mean, like you said, he's a human being, right? Yeah. Like the powers that be need to be in favor of keeping their riders healthy and alive.
And these dumb fucks are so stupid, they don't realize that by only putting all their bags in one fucking basket and trying to ram it down our throats for the past 6 years, when reality is, let shit go wild and everyone is fucking stoked. It's a party. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's exciting. Yeah,
it's exciting. It's different. No offense, but having your golden manufactured boy win every match, win every race is not awesome. You know what's awesome? Not having any fucking idea what's going to happen.
That's so much better.
We don't know what's going to happen in Austria. We have no fucking idea. Idea.
If a Ducati wins, it's even like they haven't yet.
It's more chaotic.
Right. Yeah. The only thing that's predetermined is that Ducati's probably going to win would be the dopest thing so far. It's like, oh shit, Dopey finally got to win.
And close up in the title. It'd be great.
Right.
It'd be freaking great instead of tied for fourth. Right. Oh man, brace yourselves! Marc Marquez shirts are coming. I'm sorry, he who shall not be named shirts are coming. I don't know, Ruben. It's not gonna happen.
Help me understand how a guy like Zarco can go on that bike, and a guy like Tito Rabat, who used to beat him in Moto2, can't even be like relevant. He's still like last place.
I don't think Tito can come back from the near death experience.
He's just done.
He's just circling and getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, he's done. Like, there are certain things you don't come back from.
I was just looking at the standings. I'm just like, how is this fucking possible? Your Baldy was actually last. Oh no, Stefan Brattle was. How the fuck was he last?
I love how you say Baldy, and I know who you're talking about.
Of course you do.
Oh man,
we spent a lot of time together,
guys. It's been about 90 minutes. So in the chat, let's take a few questions real quick and then get out of here.
Can we give honorable mention to Taka? That dude's just fucking strangely like relevant this year.
Yeah, because all of it
by default.
I know, but it's kind of like, what the fuck?
He got the HRC engineers.
Every single rider at Honda except for him is injured. Think about it. Marquez's arm is broken.
I know.
Broken. Alex Marquez's face is broken. And it's the only person we have.
He's like their only hope. It's hilarious.
Right, exactly.
All right, it is unanimous that they want us to talk about Joe Roberts getting on the podium.
Yeah.
So funny story. I didn't know that happened until 3 seconds ago.
You ruined it. Race spoiler alert.
Why do you hate our freedoms, Rob? Why do you hate our freedoms? Let me tell you something right now, motherfucker. These colors don't run. You gonna tell me right now? I don't think it's fucking Rob. He's probably got Karl Marx in the book behind him. He's probably got Saul Alinsky's shirt on underneath that shirt. This motherfucker doesn't know about
The
Joe,
YouTube-
the American Dream, bald eagle, love of my life, Roberts.
The YouTube algorithm is going to demonetize this shit because you just said all those keywords.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Oh boy.
I put on the World Superbike races thinking that they were going to be entertaining. They were not, and I haven't made it to the Moto2 race. I'm sorry.
Superbike? Yeah,
this is the consequence of us recording on Monday that I don't have time to watch all of the races before we record.
Are you talking about where Rinaldi was beating John Ray?
No.
In World Superbike? It was like last weekend. It was like the highlights I was watching.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
yes,
we didn't.
We are already demonetized. That's why we gotta have the fucking people paying us on YouTube. Give me 69 cents. Someone get 69 cents.
I don't know if you could donate less than $1.
Someone does $20. Kev will finish his bottle of wine.
He already finished it.
Oh, damn it!
No,
yeah, I know, right?
Chug it. No. Show us what you got left. What do you got left? Oh, that's a lot.
Oh damn.
Kev, you down?
Kev, you gotta go to Trader Joe's.
Somebody goes $20 and you'll just chug the whole thing.
All right. Oh, I mean, Patrick is saying that we should talk about Moto2 and Moto3 more often because the stories are better. Like, to be completely fair, we try to pack as much of this stuff into these episodes as we possibly can, and we've now made it 90 minutes and we barely got 4 topics in.
Do you want to know about Moto3 or do you want to know about why I hate pineapple pizza? It's one of the other people.
Gotta keep it real.
everyone was super all about the pineapple pizza story.
Gotta keeps it real. Come on, bro.
All right. So apparently I need to watch the Moto2 race. Are there any other highlights from the Moto2 race from you guys that I need to know about, or are you just gonna not give me spoilers?
I'm not going to give you spoilers.
I don't want to.
Okay. Chat, help me out here. Give us a legit question about. It
doesn't have
anything.
Motorcycle racing. It can literally just be about some random thing.
You could ask me about this cat that's like sitting right here.
Why is your cat white?
I don't know. Her name is Pearl. She's white.
Good answer.
All right, I'm checking the chat now. If you're listening on the audio only format, more burrito stories. Oh man, that was.
Oh,
good.
You don't want those burrito stories right now, I'll bet.
They want to know why Petronas Yamaha is so hot. We already, Jen, we talked about. We don't know, Jen.
Were you even listening? No.
Jen, we have no idea why Petronas is so hot. The guys are sexy, no homo. The livery is amazing.
Yeah.
The guys are sexy. I'm about it. Fabio makes my fun.
Kev is pro homo on that one. The technicians obviously know what's fucking going on. It's a team effort. Like, that's the thing about MotoGP. A lot of people forget about it.
You gotta pay us money, motherfucker.
Jen, that was probably their whole plan, was just to hire the good looking guys, and then at least they'll get good like billboards and advertisements, and it's just byproduct.
Right, they're fast.
People like being around good looking people, so they gave them better bikes. Who knows?
All right, we cannot discuss the Wyman bird because we need to do more research. We're gonna get some firsthand accounts of what the hell is going on. There is a lot of this goes. By the way, the Kyle Wyman, Josh Herron things goes way back and is very close to BrotoGP. There's some shit that
you can't share it all.
Yeah, we can't share it all.
He said, all I know is that Herron called Wyman a bitch, and I'm like, dude, 2 weeks ago you were crying that your wife couldn't come to a race. Shut the fuck up. Like,
my wife can't come hold my hand at the race, man.
Fiance.
That's so good.
What if something happens to me? Shut the fuck up. I mean, you guys want to off the race car, that's okay. But you can't call someone a bitch and then like fucking 2.5 weeks ago, you're like, I might not be on my girlfriend for an hour and a half. You're like that guy when the boys are like, yo, Thursday night, we're going out early, we're going to the pool hall, we're fucking hitting fireballs, it's gonna be great. And he's like, let me ask my girlfriend, man, like on Friday we were gonna, go flower shopping and shit. Shut the fuck up.
Is Fabio's crew chief the guy Mav couldn't work with and fired? I don't know. I will know by next episode.
That's some drama.
Yeah, that's some drama. Gerloff to replace Vandermark at the factory Yamaha team? No, definitely not. Valentino will still be on the grid after Marc leaves. That wasn't a question. That was a statement, and definitely not.
Never know.
Oh man. I mean, let's we kind of pulled our Josh Herron today. We weren't drinking Coors Light, but there was some alcohol involved. Sully said he had his KWR shirt on.
I'm not even saying who's right or wrong in that situation. I'm just saying you can't be like someone's a bitch and then like 2 weeks ago be like, I can't do something because my girlfriend won't let me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. You have to at least come from a position of authority on that.
Like,
all right, here's
something awesome.
Here's a good one that we're gonna finish off with. Will Rossi be better next year on the Petronas Yamaha?
Probably.
Damn. Well, yes, you have a bet that Petronas is going to be the Yamaha team already. Like,
seems logical right now.
Say we do it based on championship points, right? We take the first 13 rounds, assuming that Portimao is confirmed as the final round for MotoGP, or is it 14 with that? And we go championship points. Does Rossi score more points?
No. Irrelevant. Points are super
don't matter?
irrelevant. The only thing that matters is will he have more hardware. Points don't matter. Unless you're the number one guy, points don't matter. Then it comes down to, because what's better if Rossi got, if Valentino gets 14 fifths in a season, or he gets like 10 DNFs but 4 wins, which one's better? Right?
Yeah.
Like, no getting wins in hardware is better. Right. Yeah. No one gives a fuck about second place. That's why Dovey is getting so much hate from his own team, even though he has literally gotten second place every single year and has been their best rider for a generation, right? Like, he gets hate because he's not Marquez. Like, he wins multiple runs. Everett is saying is Maverick a bust? Does he suck? Guy wins 2 or 3 races every single year for the last 4 or 5 years, and he's like a bust, right?
He's a bust.
If Valentino gets a bunch of, better is not points. Better is, does he get more hardware on the Petronas team?
Yeah, unless it's a win, points are stupid.
Now
here's the bigger question. It doesn't matter. I'm surprised nobody's asked this one. When and where does Rossi get his 100th podium?
200th podium
or 200th podium? Sorry,
200th.
That was 100th. You brought that way down.
Yeah, my bad. You knew what I meant. I've been thinking.
I mean, he's not going to do it in Austria. That's nearly a given. But I could see it. I could see it happening this year.
What if he just gets stuck there and never gets it?
To Kev's point, though, like, it would be baller if Rossi got more hardware on the Petronas Yamaha. And
he won't.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. So here's the thing about Rossi, right? We've been hearing, and we talked about this in the last episode, we've been hearing that Yamaha has been just limiting him on what he can do on the motorcycle, saying he needs to run a setup comparable to Fabio and Mavs, and he needs to run that bike. Apparently, even in FP1 of this round, Crafar said that he had one bike set up like Yamaha and one bike set up by Yamaha and one bike set up by him. And he ended up running that in the first session, and then he used the bike set up by him for the rest of the weekend. Like, to go into a satellite team and to not have those struggles, because they're just gonna, like, it's fucking Rossi. Petronas Yamaha is gonna be blitz.
Say, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna be so stoked about the number of T-shirt sales they're gonna get at Sepang, assuming that we race at Sepang next year. That it's Petronas is gonna bend over backwards to get another Rossi win or to get another Rossi podium. It will be insane. So I could see it happening. I could see him getting more hardware on the Petronas Yamaha. Will he score more points? Tough sell, because that's the thing about the factory teams, right? They win championships. They do win races, but the primary goal, win the damn championship, because no one remembers who got second place in the championship. Kev, your audio's been screwed up this entire time. I have no idea why.
Do you even know who's second in the championship right now? Well, we do. Shit, we talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it. It's Fabio, Mav, Franco, Dovizioso. Dovizioso and Franco are tied based on, and then Franco is first based on a higher finishing position in second. And then fifth and sixth are really close, like 1 point to fourth. Yeah, I mean, there were some people, I saw comments today on social media that like Rossi would be in the championship if it wasn't for the mechanical. And like it doesn't matter at this point, right? Kev is saying that this entire season is going to be crazy. There's going to be more injuries, right? It's likely that Mav has already opened all 5 of his engines. Right. He's going to be spacing them out. If he has one more problem with an engine, not only will he lose points there, but he'll be starting from pit lane at least.
They just need to do that. Like, just do it. Get it out of the way. This is the craziest shit ever. Get it out of the way now. Like, your number one rival is gone. He's out, and the championship's not settled at all. Fabio won a couple, and then Binder came out of nowhere and won a race, but also had not great results. Well, he looked good, but his actual results just fucking open. You need to figure out what happens in the next couple of races and decide in the next 4 races which has what's after Austria. It's Misano, yeah.
No, Austria again, and then 2 Misano.
So there's 4 races. You have
they need
to decide tactically this week which of those 4 races is the most tactically apt to unseal a motor.
Austria
and get another
one. Austria won.
And ironically, it could be that reset to start from the back and then do one of those crazy prove how fucking badass you are rides.
Give him the confidence.
He needs it. Someone's got to change.
Bilal just said that starting from pit lane is no different than his abysmal starts.
We didn't talk about this, but the whole shot devices in this race were really interesting too. Did you notice?
They're a crapshoot. Like Zarco has one. He was turning the knob and it didn't succeed, and then other people take advantage of it.
The KTMs both fucking rocketed to the front.
Do they have a whole shot? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. They were trying to compare them forever. All I'm saying is they both got good starts.
No, I like Jen's comment here, and I think we're gonna round it out with this one. Speaking of injuries, Mav's feelings are injured.
Soft.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's the worst injury of all.
That's so soft.
Oh man! All right, everyone. I'm gonna close it out. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. This one's super long. I apologize for some audio issues in here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Because I was trying to get you guys drunk so we'd keep going longer.
It's
Rob's sex tape.
No, it's not a Rob sex tape. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. I'm gonna knock
it out. Go.
Yes, Frankie is the only Yamaha without a whole shot device. That is true. He's getting the short end of the stick on that one. All right, everyone. We got so much racing coming up. Thank you to everyone who donated in the super chats.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy everything new that we're doing, and we will catch you sometime soon. Hopefully, I mean, we got to talk about the Wyman versus Heron thing, but
we got to talk about Redding. We got to talk about Wyman Heron. We got to talk about Joe Roberts. There's a whole supplementary episode that we can record. So,
yep. Yeah. So we'll try and find the time, entertain everyone. Thanks for joining us. All right, everyone.